All right, we are back. Another college confessions edition of Your Relationship Sucks!
Is.
Exclamation point. So here again, we're here to answer the questions for the young kids. The ones that think they're experienced, but they're not quite experienced yet. So we're just trying to give them some knowledge so that they go through one less painful breakup, one less painful dumb thing that happens when you're younger. All right, so let's get into it. We're going to open up right with initial impressions. So you're gonna
Yep.
give me a little bit. We're gonna see where we're standing. So what do you got for us today?
Wow, it is. A 19-year-old female,
Mm-hmm.
and struggling to decide if I want to leave my boyfriend, 26-year-old male, after finding out he purposely destroyed my makeup collection and lied about it being an accident.
Wow, a lot to unpack there. Not super thrilled about this girl's awareness. So I am not on her side. I feel pretty good about not being on her side.
Why?
She sounds dumb. She just sounds young and dumb and like she's just making a real bad decision for no reason.
Okay. We'll see if you're right. Okay. So, brief background. I've been with my boyfriend for 4 years. I have been living with him for the last 2. Things have been good up until recently. A few days ago, I found out.
Hold on. So they got together when he was 22 and she was 15?
Yes, I was waiting for you to catch on to that.
Okay. All right. That's okay. Yep. Go ahead.
I found out that he purposely broke a bag of my expensive makeup. He originally said it was an accident and that it fell off the counter.
Makeup comes in bags?
You usually
what? Is that
keep you usually have like a little makeup pouch that most people keep it all in, and then they take it out to do their makeup and then they put it back in.
Okay. So this isn't like a single product. It's a collection of products.
I think it's like
bag.
all of her makeup bags, like all of her stuff.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay, go ahead.
Originally, he said it was an accident and that it fell off the counter. But after another long conversation, he decided to be truthful and told me he was upset and did it on purpose. I told him I suspected it wasn't an accident due to the severity of how broken it was and that I've never damaged anything in it before, even though I dropped the bag myself a few times. Edit in. I have asked if he could help pay me back, at least for the basic bits, but he said he doesn't want to because it's my stuff and he doesn't have a use for it, so he doesn't feel the need to help me replenish anything.
Oh, God. Okay, keep going. That's fantastic. I love it. I love this guy.
Anyway, he did eventually apologize the day after, as he knew I called my mom and told her what happened. I'm struggling because I love him. He's my first boyfriend, and he's never hurt me and hasn't done anything like this before. I'm scared of leaving him and ending up alone. A part of me knows this isn't right, like what he did, but also another part of me thinks I may have somehow caused him to break that makeup. For example, sometimes I take too long to put it on. He doesn't like me in makeup unless it's natural. I feel as though I made my bed and I should lie in it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, keep going.
I don't have many friends. My parents live overseas. When I spoke to my mom, she told me I'm always welcome back home, but with the current situation happening, I don't see myself going back. I'm also in school and work. I'm not sure what advice I'm even looking for at this moment. I don't feel unsafe with my boyfriend, but I don't feel 100% comfortable either. Has anyone
That's,
else experienced a similar
oh my God.
situation before? What would the best path be for me to take? I just need some reassurance and to get my head straight, I think.
Oh my God. I love College Confessions more than anything in the world. College Confessions is my favorite thing. It's my absolute favorite thing that we do. This is a classic young person problem. Jesus Christ. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack. What can you read the question to me one more time? Just the actual question, like the headline, the first thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm struggling to decide if I want to leave my boyfriend.
Give me the next sentence. And the first sentence then, I guess. Whatever. You said something about makeup at the very beginning.
Oh yeah, after deciding out, he purposely destroyed my makeup collection and lied about it being an accident.
Okay, so here's wow.
Give it to us.
This is
I'm so excited.
I don't really know. It's hard to, oh my God, it's hard to, like this is like a case of 4-year Stockholm Syndrome, right? Like this is what happens with your first relationship, right? You don't know anything else. You don't really see anything. The problems that you have don't come up. You're not really noticing other people's problems. Like they don't, all that stuff. So like you don't have any experience, especially if you're 15 and, then you're 19, like that's not, you haven't really done that much. I mean, you were in high school, like there's not a lot that's going on, right? So you haven't just experienced a whole lot of things, right? Like you just flat out, you haven't experienced a lot, and that's fine. Like that that comes with time and whatever. I honestly, I got to hand it to this guy, convincing her that it's partially her fault in her own head because she takes too long to put makeup on is that is absolute top shelf manipulation. Like that's an incredible job of brainwashing, honestly. Like it is. I mean, like you just have to hand it to somebody at that point, like he's a bad guy. I mean, yeah, I get it. Whatever. Obviously he's a bad guy. That's an incredible level of manipulation that you have performed on another human being, right? Like somebody broke your shit, and then your thought was, well, sometimes I do take too long, right? Like somebody just destroyed your shit, right? I mean, just flat out, like just destroyed it. And you were like, yeah, but sometimes I do a thing, that's an incredible level of manipulation that this guy has pulled off, right? So number one, where I can't even remember what this girl was saying, but she was like, she didn't necessarily say he was like a nice guy or whatever, but she kind of talked well about him and all that stuff.
Yeah, she said she never felt unsafe.
Unsafe,
like,
yeah. Well, she said
yeah.
she never felt unsafe, but she also didn't feel comfortable. Those two things are incongruous, right? Like you can't really have those at the same time. If you're uncomfortable, then you do feel a little bit unsafe. Maybe that's just word choice, but also maybe it's not. Obviously, this girl is fucking blind. So open your eyes. You know what I mean? Like just open your eyes. You're obviously unsafe. You obviously feel unsafe. That's an issue. Here's my the real problem that I have with this, right? Like the problem that I have with this girl is she was almost there, right? Like she almost had it. She had a conversation with him. He said I dropped it or whatever, something happened. And then, so she accepted that answer, she had the answer, whatever. And then I'm assuming it was her, because I'm assuming this guy lying probably didn't want to bring this up again. Then she said, let's have a longer conversation about that. By definition, you only have a longer conversation if you think he's full of shit. That's at the end of the day. Like, you think he's a fucking liar, right? Like, you just flat out think he's a liar. What that tells me is that that's not the first time you thought he was a liar, right? Like, you don't have that conversation with somebody unless you think there's a reason to have that conversation with somebody. Somebody who's actually trustworthy, they tell you something, and you go, all right, that's weird, but I believe them. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
You never go, are you sure? Because you don't have to, because they're trustworthy, right? So like, you don't have to get to that point, right? So she was almost there. Like, she actually had the conversation. She forced herself to have that conversation. She was working on that conversation. She knew it. She felt it in her bones, but she's not getting it through her head, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, the whole like 15 to 22-year-old thing. Like, I'm not even sure how you meet like a 22-year-old or at like 15 or vice versa. Like, honestly, I don't really know how that happens. But like, forget that part. Like, I'm not even talking about that part. This is somebody this is her first relationship, right? This happens in all first relationships. It doesn't matter how old the guy or the girl is, right? This happens in all first relationships. Like, you're just not aware of like the type of stuff that happens in quote unquote normal relationships, and the ones that are kind of messed up because you don't know. So like, you just fall into a pattern and stuff's happening and whatever. Oh my God. She is so twisted into a fucking pretzel right now, right? Like, her brain is a fucking scrambled egg. She has no idea what she's doing. She is so twisted up that she literally, again, this guy broke something of hers, like just destroyed something of hers. And her first thought was, well, sometimes I exhibit a pattern of behavior. That is a fucking ludicrous first thought to have, right? Like, that's just an insane thing to say to yourself. Like, if I watch somebody walk out and just bash the shit out of my car, I wouldn't be like, you know what? Sometimes I do talk loudly. You know what I mean? Like, that would never cross my mind. I'd be like, why is this person taking a bat to the windows of my SUV? You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of thought that you should have when somebody destroys your shit. But she was like, sometimes I do take too long. He did tell me that he likes me with less makeup. Like, what? What? Okay, great. That just means the makeup you have will last longer. If you want to change that behavior about yourself, you just put on less makeup. You don't smash it against the ground. You just put less of it on. So that's actually a cost savings for you, as opposed to doing that other stuff. Grade A response by this guy to say, it's not mine, so I don't think I should reimburse you. That is fantastic logic. Like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to say that. And when you brainwash somebody, like, obviously she's okay with that. Like, she doesn't even seem that upset about that particular point.
Yeah, that was insane to me. Like, that wasn't the point where she was like, my boyfriend sucks. It wasn't even a follow-up. It was just like, we had a follow-up conversation. I asked him, and that is reality, and that's how someone should respond.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like, that's like, I mean, again, obviously it's very obvious that this is the type of stuff that goes on. Like, anybody who's looking at this is like, hey, whatever, get out of there, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I literally just can't believe that somebody but she was there. Like, that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to tell her, right? Like, you're close. Like, people are going to say, whatever, oh, you should leave him and all that stuff. And that's hard to do. I get it. Like, you've been brainwashed. I understand. Like, it's hard to leave. It's hard to do that stuff. Who knows what's out there? You feel alone.
So there's a lot of like, whatever,
Yeah. So you got stuff going on. That's fine. You also, it's one of those things where her idea of the relationship, her idea of this person is different than the reality of this person, right? But she's twisted herself into thinking that it's a better version of what she has. So now when she compares it to what she thinks might be out there, she's comparing it against something that's even higher than it should be, right? So she should be down here, and she's like, no, he's actually up here. And so, like, I don't really know what I'm competing with, right? that's the kind of thing that happens when it's your first relationship. And actually, honestly, that's what happens when you're in any relationship, especially one for 4 years, because like you start kind of losing track of like what's happening.
And they've been living together for 2 as well.
Yeah.
So half of that has been wow, can't say that word right now. Yeah. Which is a whole nother ballgame.
Right. No, 100%. And so, look, you're 19. You're going to be fine. Like you break up with them, you're going to be fine. Like all those things. What do you need to do, right? So like you specifically asked what you need to do. Now, most people are going to say, break up with your boyfriend, right? Yeah, I agree with that. Like, stop hanging out with this dude. He's fucking brainwashed you. But what you actually need to do, like the first step, like how do you get to that point, right? Is literally understanding that basically every response that you wrote in that question, like every single thing you said from him, I don't know if those are direct quotes or those are just like the gist of what he said, but either way, every single one of those is fucking batshit crazy, right? That is manipulation 101. Those are incendiary fucking words that he's dropping on you. I mean, he's literally just hitting you with napalm, basically. It's insane that somebody speaks to another human being that way. Like it's straight up bananas that somebody's doing that. You know, I have to respect somebody who just is that brazen about things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like what he's doing, but this dude is so comfortable that he's just straight up manipulating somebody with like, but he's not even like trying to hide it anymore. He's just being so obvious, right? So she's so twisted up that she has that. So what she needs to do, like what she actually needs to see, right? And I'm saying that, and probably part of her that hears that starts to think, well, I do stuff too, right? So she's in that mindset where she starts to think those things. So what she really needs to do, honest to God, what she really needs to do is genuinely think about, forget all the other stuff, genuinely think about if anybody else broke something of yours on purpose and then admitted that to you, would you be okay if their reasoning for not paying you was not my stuff? That's it. Think about that question. Just mull that question over. Because until you get to the answer with zero reservations that every other person that hears this question has already gotten to, you're never going to be able to figure out what you're supposed to do. So forget all the stuff, leave your boyfriend, do this, do that. Forget all of that stuff. Think about that question until it sinks in and you have an answer that you 100% agree with. And when you get there, then you'll know exactly what to do. You'll know exactly what to do. But telling her to, you know, dump her boyfriend or do any of that stuff, that's the wrong message to send because this is not somebody who's ready to hear that yet, right? So just think about that question. Just think about that scenario. Somebody comes up, they smash your stuff. And when you say, I'd like you to pay that, I'd like you to replace that for me, please. And they say, not my stuff. Just mull that over in your head. And when that sinks in, you'll know what to do. Nobody else is going to have to tell you what to do. But this is straight up bananas. College Confessions is an unbelievable segment. This is fucking bananas.
Yeah.
That this lady is asking this question. This young woman.
I mean, her initial question is literally, has this happened to anyone else? Like obviously similar scenarios have happened to people, unfortunately. Right. It's manipulative people are out there. Sure. It's not uncommon. And like you point out, I think this does happen to a lot of people in their first relationships.
Absolutely,
especially 100%. And I'm going to throw the age gap back in there. It does happen more when you have someone who met someone at 15, because it is easier to like convince a 15-year-old of anything you want if you're older and you're cool. Yep. It doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. Yep. That's not a good dynamic because there's the power and the convincing, that's my own opinion. Age gaps happen. I think that it's fine. I think that person, the younger person, should not be 15 years old when that starts. My opinion on that.
No, but
The
look,
other thing,
this show isn't about that shit though, right? Like we don't need to
I
be.
know.
No. But I'm not saying for you. I'm saying for other people. Like we're not
Oh, okay.
here to like. We don't need to. I don't need to be politically correct all the time and tell you I agree with this stuff or whatever. If you listen to what I say, you'll understand where I'm coming from. Like if you actually listen to what I say, you'll understand that I think this guy's a piece of shit and all those things. We're not about that. We're not to, whatever. Yeah, hey, guess what? Stop dating minors. You know what I mean? Like, don't fucking date a minor. Don't be a piece of shit. Like that's fine. But we don't need to say that, we don't have to say we're not out here advocating for that. You're 100% right. Guess what? Kids are dumb. You're 19 years old, you're stupid. You're 15-year-olds, you're even dumber than that. That's the way life was. Guess what? I was a moron at 15. I might have actually been even dumber at 19. But either way, I wasn't very smart, right? You weren't very smart. None of us were smart. Right? It's easy to get manipulated by older people. You're 100% right. That's factual. That's a factual statement that you're making. It's easy to get manipulated. 100%.
And it's even easier if you lack a support system. The fact that she doesn't have a lot of close friends is also kind of a red flag. Like she's not bringing that up, but why doesn't she have friends at 19?
That could be.
That is an age where, I'm just saying like that's another thing. 100%. I'm like 19, when I was 19, I was in college, so people were a lot readily available. But I had a boyfriend that I had at least not been with 4 years. We met in college. I mean, we had been together for, at that point, 2 years. I had tons of friends outside of, we had mutual friends, but like I had friends from back home. I wanted to be more social than I do now. Like I could maintain a lot more relationships. That seems about more like appropriate developmentally to have a lot more friends at 19. And I will say she sounds, for having been in a relationship where someone is obviously doing some very intense mind control, she's asking fairly mature questions. She's like, is this something that happens? And then how do I deal with it? I do have to give her credit for that. And
look, she seems like she got smart, she seems like she got a good head on her shoulders. She got brainwashed. That happens. Like that doesn't mean she's stupid. None of that stuff. That's why I said, just ask yourself that question. Let it sink in. Think about it.
I think we don't need to tell you stuff. Advice.
You need to figure it out for yourself. Trust me. You think about that. You figure it out for yourself. And I guarantee you're going to come to the conclusion that you want to come to when you let that sink in and you know for sure what your answer is. Right now, you don't know the answer to that question. Just sit there, think about it. As soon as you know what the answer to that question is, you're going to know what you need to do. Nobody needs to tell you what to do. Nobody needs to tell you whether it's normal, it's not normal. It doesn't matter. You don't need to know any of that. All you need to know is for sure, 100%, what the answer to that question that I asked you is. That's it. Yeah. But the second you know that, and the reason I do that is, it's a great point that you bring up. The reason I did that is because she sounded like she got a good head on her shoulders. She can figure some stuff out. Sounds like she's mature enough to kind of sort of think things through. All of that. So that's why I'm telling her, look, you think about it, you come up with it because it's going to stick with you if you're the one who comes up with it. At the end of the day, that's how life works. So, look, she'll be fine. She'll figure it out. Unbelievable question though. Absolutely unbelievable question.
Yeah. And I think that your advice I do want to add is if you can start having that objectivity in how you look at things within your own relationships at 19, your relationships are so much healthier, because even if you are in a healthy relationship and you're in your mid-30s, you still get like complacent to like the dynamic of your relationship sometimes, and you're like, should I be mad about this? It helps you not overreact sometimes. You're like, would I care if my best friend did this? The answer is no. Then you don't have to blow it out of proportion. You can say, hey, I don't like this. On the opposite end, like sometimes your spouse starts doing things or your person you're with starts doing things you really don't like, and you don't say anything because you take that on kind of as she does. Not to the extent that you literally don't know that someone's saying that they shouldn't have to pay for the stuff that they damaged is normal, but to a lesser degree.
Yeah, no,
solid advice. Solid advice.
She'll be fine. She'll figure it out. That's an unbelievable question. I love questions from young people. This is how stupid I sounded. So like, don't ever see one of these things.
You definitely sounded way worse. There's no way you were coming out this articulate, honestly.
don't take any of this stuff like I'm talking down to people, like I'm doing any of that. What I'm telling you is this is about learning from the dumb shit that I've done, right? So I'm telling you this is all the dumb stuff I've done. And so listen to it or don't. I mean, whatever. I don't give a shit. Like, whatever. Stay with this guy. There's no skin off my back. But if you listen to this, right, you listen to this advice, what I'm telling you is that this is me trying to tell you, don't be stupid like I was, right? I'm just trying to prevent people from making dumb mistakes like I made, because I did a lot of really stupid stuff, a lot of really shady stuff. I was not a good person. That's why it's easier for me now to look at it. I'm still not a great person, but I'm a little bit better. But it's easier for me to look now and say, like, hey, this is what it is, we're not talking down on people, but I just love hearing this, whatever. And the reason that I laugh at a lot of this stuff, because I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely something I would have done, right? Like I hear it and I'm just like, oh shit, like it takes me back. It takes me back. I'm like, oh yeah, when I was 19, like that's definitely what I would have done, right? So hey, look, that's what it is. I think we did. I think we helped solve this girl's problem.
Absolutely.
Other people, if you got questions, younger people, you got some questions you want us to answer, kind of college age, whatever, you're going through some of these same things, you got questions for us or whatever, you can leave a comment, you can email us. What's the email?
The email is info.yourrelationshipsucks@gmail.com.
All right. So you can hit us up there. Otherwise, we appreciate people supporting and people watching and listening and all that stuff. And hopefully you'll come back and we'll see you guys next time.